I'm attorney Ahmad Yakzan from the American Dream Law Office, here live with you today for our weekly live session. We do these sessions every single week. So if you have any questions for us, please make sure that you send them to us. Um, you can email them to intake at americandreamlawoffice.com or share them through a DM or a message on any of um, our social media channels. I have them listed here on top of the on top of our frame here. And if you need to let us know if we can help with anything, call us at 888-963-7326. We've got a bunch of questions this week regarding immigration. The first, a couple of things that I want to talk about before we actually start. Um, our American Dream Team podcast is going to be coming out soon. I will share all of the social links to all of them, all of our channels very soon. As soon as the first episode comes out, we shot the episode today, and we're gonna have it out probably in the third week of July or so. We are going to be able to see it on our website, and we're going to be on all of the podcasting services, all Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Spotify, and all of these guys. So if you are a podcaster, or if you like to listen to podcasts, I would love to be on your podcast, and you can also listen to our podcast, and I will be more than happy to have you as a guest on my podcast. If you would like to, again, just email us at intake at American Dream Law Office, and we'll be more than happy to help you. We can work on questions or anything like that. If you would like us to have you on our podcast. The second thing is we're still waiting on President Biden to um, publish that executive order. He promised that it's going to be there at the end of summer. I know the first presidential debate is going to be out tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow. Uh, uh, Watch the debate, see if President Biden actually speaks about the executive order or anything like that. And if you do have any questions about the executive order, we've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails regarding the executive order. So if you have anything that has to do with the executive order or any questions regarding the executive order, call us or visit our website at americandreamlawoffice.com. You can actually set your schedule and schedule an appointment with me on the website if you would like. All you have to do is just literally go to our website and click on schedule a 15-minute consultation, and you'll be able to schedule a consultation with our staff. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions regarding some H-1B visas. The H-1B visa, the H-1B visa season is upon us. Actually, by the end of the month, you have to apply for your H-1B visa. So if you have an H-1B visa that that you have that if you have an H-1B visa that you were approved for, make sure that your attorney applies for your H-1B visa by the end of the month, or you're gonna not be able to get it. So make sure that you do that. The second, the first question that we got about H-1B visas says, and I'm on an H-1B visa. Can my company sponsor me for a green card? What is the process? Absolutely. Actually, this is how I got my green card when I was on my H-1B visa. My employer at the time actually was able to apply for my green card. There are a couple of things that you can use. There are 5 employment-based preferences that are out there for you to actually use to apply for a green card through an employer. If you qualify for the first preference or second preference or third preference, usually these are the preferences that H-1B holders actually use to get a green card in the United States. A couple of the EB1 preferences you don't actually need an employer to do. Um, the third one will probably not apply if you're on an H-1B visa. But if you're an EB2 or an EB3 category, you can actually file for a green card using the EB2 or the EB3 category. Under the EB2 category, there's a part of the EB2 category which is called the national interest waiver. If you qualify for the national interest waiver, you actually don't need um, a petitioner for that. You can just have a job and petition it on your own, or if you don't qualify for the NIW, you can apply through a labor certification. So what you'll have to do is your employer would have to advertise for your job to see if we can find anybody in the country or in the locality where you are that can actually do your job. And once the labor certification is actually issued, um, you can apply for your immigrant visa petition, which is called an I-140 petition, and then you can apply for the green card at the same time if the visa number is available. And if the visa is not available, um, all you have to do is just wait until the visa number becomes available. The reason why I say this is employment-based petitions are, all immigrant visa petitions. Um, it depends on where you actually come from. It's per country caps. So if you're from India, there is a longer wait. India, China, Philippines, you actually have a longer wait to get a green card than if you were from any other countries. So those countries are oversubscribed. So if you are actually from an oversubscribed country, you're not going to be able to get a green card right away, and you will have to wait. You'll have to wait for the visa number becomes to become available for you to be able to apply for your green card. But having the I-140 approved also allows you to extend your H-1B status. So if you actually are trying to get a green card through employment, you are more than welcome to call us. Again, I have a passion for these petitions because that's how I got my green card. So um, if you have if you have an employer who is willing to sponsor you for a green card, please give us a call. The number is 888-963-7326, and I will be more than happy to help with that. Now, the next question that we got is, I want to marry a U.S. citizen. How can I get a green card through marriage? Now, this actually ties into what President Biden is trying to do. Um, when it comes to helping people get green cards here in the United States. Now, in order for you to actually be able to get a green card in the United States, what you're going to have to do is apply for the green card, but you also have to be able eligible for the green card for you to be able to get it. Guys, if you're watching us from TikTok, I would really appreciate some likes and some follows if you could. I know I can see a lot of people are joining, but I don't have any likes. So if we can get some hearts on there, I would really appreciate it. Um, so the issue that we have is, if you're applying for a green card here in the United States, you have to have entered the United States legally, or get an exception to the filing require. For you to have entered legally into the United States, if someone applied for you before 2000 for a green card, you can actually apply for your green card even if you didn't make a legal entry into the United States. So you can actually apply for the green card if you made a legal entry and you're not inadmissible into the United States. And what that means is, if you are in the United States, and you uh, don't have any criminal record or anything like that, you should be able to apply for your green card right away. But if you do have a criminal record, sometimes you might not be able to get a green card, especially if it's something relating to drugs or anything like that. You're going to have an issue trying to get the green card. So if you are in the United States and you're married to a U.S. citizen and you made a legal entry and you don't have any barriers to or inadmissibility barriers to or deportability barriers in the United States, you will be able to apply for your green card. Now, it's pretty straightforward. What you can do is apply in front of USCIS. You have to apply for an immigrant visa and the petition for the green card, which is the I-485 form. So if you are able to do that, as I said, you apply for your work permit at the same time. You do all of these things at the same time. And when between it's taken right now between 9 months to a year for you to be able to get your green card. So again, the work permit usually comes first, and then you will be able to get the rest of the stuff. The government is actually waiving the interview for a lot of people, so you might not even have to be interviewed to get your green card. Now, one reminder that if you actually have a removal order on you, if you came in and you were deported before, you are not able to actually apply for your green card in front of USCIS. What you're gonna have to do is you have to apply for the green card either with the immigration judge, or you have to actually get those get the removal order removed before you're actually able to apply for your green card. So if you have a removal order, please don't apply and consult with an immigration attorney like myself. What I usually do is file for a motion to reopen the removal proceedings and dismiss them. The government is being very nice about that, and they're actually helping. I've done like 10 of those at this point under the Biden administration, and they were actually very happy to reopen the proceedings, especially if you have an I-130 approved. So if you have a removal order, do not apply for the green card on your own, because you're not allowed to actually get a green card unless you reopen those removal proceedings and terminate them. So if you're applying for a green card, please give us a call. Again, the number is 888-963-7326, or uh, schedule an appointment with me or my staff on our website, which is americandreamlawoffice.com. Now let's look at the next question. Next question: what's the different type of green cards available? Now, this is actually a question that we get all the time. There's a bunch of green cards are available. Most of them, as I said, the preferences go through family preferences or an employment based preference. You are able to self petition for some green cards sometimes, but I can give you just a quick rundown of how you can actually apply for the green card. There's very specific ones which I probably won't get into, but I'll mention them really quick. Now, as I said, there are two types of green cards. One is based on a family petition or family preferences. The family preferences allows U.S. citizens to apply for everybody who is pretty much a blood relative of or a marriage relative. So a U.S. citizen can apply for spouse or children under 21. Can also apply for their parents. They can apply for a child who's over 21, um, who's unmarried or married, and you can apply for your I mentioned parents earlier, but you can also apply for your brothers and sisters. These are the people that you can apply for. Now, if you are an immediate relative, which is usually your uh, parents, a spouse, or a child under 21, you don't have to wait for a visa number to become available. If you are not one of those three people, you will have to actually wait for a visa number to become available for you to be able to get the green card. You usually have to be in status if you are here in the United States for you to actually adjust. If you are a permanent resident, you're actually allowed to apply for your children, your spouse, and your children who are over 21. But again, they will have to actually wait for the visa number to become available, and you have to wait for you have to be in status at the time when you get the green card for you to be able to actually get the green card. So these are the family preferences. That now, if you are a permanent resident, you're not allowed to actually apply for. You're not allowed to apply for a green card. You might not be able to apply for a green card in the United States. So that's what I'm saying. If you're out of status, so these are the preferences. You're also not allowed to apply for your brothers and sisters if you are a permanent resident. Now, some of my clients start as the beneficiary uh, from permanent resident, and then when the permanent resident petitioner actually becomes a U.S. citizen, then we will be able to change the preference and get the green card faster. So those are the family petitions. The next preference categories that I'm going to discuss have to do with um, employer sponsored, and as I mentioned earlier, that's five preferences, 1 through 5. The first preference is for people who are they call them the Einstein visa, usually who with international acclaim, people who are outstanding researchers, and the last one is for international managers, usually people who are on L1 visas or the such can actually get a green card if they that's under the first preference. The second preference is for people who are professionals, usually requires bachelor's degree plus 5 years of experience, or um, five or a master's degree. So if you have an H1B, for example, with 5 years of experience, you can actually get a green card based on the second preference. I also spoke about the national interest waiver earlier. That would be one way for you to actually also get the EB2 category. EB3 category has several people. These are professionals with less than 5 years of experience, people with bachelor's degrees, and other workers, which are usually people who don't have a bachelor's degree, that are allowed to apply under the third preference. The fourth preference is people for a bunch of people, like Afghans and also the people who are on R1 visas, which is ministers and the clergy can apply under the can actually apply under the fourth preference. And then the fifth preference, which is usually called EB5, those are people who actually um, invest a lot of money, at least $500,000 in the United States, to and become permanent residents right away. And after 2 years and proving that they created 10 work and 10 jobs with their investment, they can actually get the permanent residence. So these are the usual ways to get a green card. There's also special bills in front of Congress and special programs that allow you to get a permanent resident card if you actually join the military or something like that. But these are usually the preferences that people use to get permanent residence permits in the United States. So if you have any questions, please mention them in the comments, or again, just drop a comment, and I'll be more than happy to answer them either today or in next week's live session. The next question that we have is, what can I expect during an immigration interview? Now, there's a bunch of ways, a bunch of interviews that people go through when you're in immigration in going through an immigration proceeding or an immigration petition. Now, the Biden administration has been waiving the immigrant visa interviews for 95% of people. So I don't really go to USCIS anymore if the client is getting a green card through marriage or a parent petition or anything like that. Those are getting waived. What I am going to immigration for is asylum interviews, which you actually have to do by statute. I'm also going to interviews for naturalization, which is also by statute. You actually have to go to an interview for that. The thing that you have to worry about is having an attorney who's going to prepare you for this. Now, you usually, if there is no criminal record or anything like that, the attorney the attorney really doesn't have to prepare you that much. But if it's a marriage based petition, for example, the attorney has to put a lot of evidence into your petition to prove that your marriage is legitimate. So if it's a marriage based petition, if you're one of the unlucky people and you actually get scheduled for an interview under a marriage petition, you have to put a lot of bona fides to prove your that your petition is valid. So if you are going to a marriage based petition, they're going to ask you for a lot of things, including how you met, what did you do for um, on your honeymoon, what did you do um, for Valentine's Day, what do you do for your birthday, things like that. How did you guys meet? Have you met each other's parents? These are the type of questions that they will ask you during a marriage-based petition. Now, the other kinds of things that I mentioned that I'm going to interviews on is asylum petitions. And asylum petitions, you have to go to an interview to prove that you are statutorily eligible for the for asylum, and they ask you questions about the basis for your asylum claim. Why are you trying to apply for asylum in the United States? What are you trying what are the why are you being persecuted in your country? So they go through your questions regarding your application. They go through your application with you, make sure that you don't have any changes to the application or anything like that, and then they will give you a decision within 2 weeks or so, or they will ask you to come and pick up your decision afterwards. So the questions that you should expect during an asylum interview is, again, it's basis on your basis of your eligibility. Why are you applying for asylum in the United States? what what are the things that would stop you from becoming an asylee? Have you ever are you a resident of more than one country, or a citizen of more than one country? So just general eligibility things that they will ask you for. Now, if you are applying for naturalization, it's pretty much the same questions as an asylum petition. They're going to ask you about your eligibility. They're gonna ask you civics questions. They're going to ask you English questions, unless you have an exception to that, to not having to meet those requirements. And then what they're going to do is they're going to go through your petition with you, your application with you, and see if you are actually if you're qualified to actually become a citizen. Usually they give you the decision on the same day, but if they don't do that, probably within a couple of weeks they will send you your decision in the mail. Um, as I said earlier, a lot of those interviews are getting waived for uh, other than asylum and naturalization. They're getting waived. So if you are applying for an immigration benefit, uh, make sure that you hire an attorney that will help you get that the interview for you waived. And as I said, 95% of my clients who are applying for green cards don't even have to go to interviews anymore. So if you are applying for a benefit, please let us know, and I'll be more than happy to help you. We do have a couple of more questions. And again, if you are seeing us on TikTok, I would really appreciate likes and follows. And if you're seeing us on any of the other social networks, we're on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I would really appreciate a follow and a like, especially on YouTube. We're trying to raise our presence on YouTube. I would really appreciate the follow and a like. Thank you. So the last question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to answer is, am I eligible to apply for citizenship? Now, um, to apply for citizenship, you have to meet a lot of things, and I will talk about general eligibility criteria for citizenship. In order for you to be a citizen, to become a citizen, you have to be a permanent resident to start with. And that's a general requirement. There are ways for you to become a citizen without being a permanent resident. One of them is being born to a U.S. citizen, when to a U.S. citizen, parent, and all of that stuff. But in the majority of the situations that we run into, you have to be a permanent resident to start with. And in order for you to be, I mentioned how to become a permanent resident earlier, but in order to become a citizen, you have to be a permanent resident for at least 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen, or 5 years if you got it through employment. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen and your marriage is bona fide, you can actually apply for your citizenship, right? 3 years instead of five. We give some preference to people who are married to U.S. citizens, because we want spouses of U.S. citizens to be safe here in the United States, for them to be able to become citizens faster. So either 3 or 5 years of being a permanent resident. Then the next requirement is you have to be a resident of the state where you're applying for at least 90 days before applying for your citizenship. That's requirement number two. Number three, you have to meet the physical presence requirements in the United States, which means you have to have lived in the United States for uh, more than 30 months if you are applying under the 5 years, and 18 months if you're applying under the 3 year rule. You also have to be a person of good moral character, and this is where actually people get tripped up a lot. So um, before I discuss that, if you have stayed outside the country for more than 180 days consecutively as a green card holder, I wouldn't I would speak to an attorney before applying for my citizenship. And also, if you left the country for more than a year, that is going to be a huge issue, and you probably should speak to an immigration attorney before applying for citizenship. Now, the next requirement is you have to be a person of good moral character, and usually that's people. Usually that means that you have to meet certain requirements that are in the N400 form, but usually includes you can't have any convictions. Convictions. If you do have any convictions, they have to be more than 5 years old or 3 years old. You cannot owe federal or state taxes. You can't claim to be a U.S. citizen. You can't have killed someone, for example. That's a permanent bar. You can't be a member of the Nazi or Socialist Party. A bunch of things. You can't have any citations if you didn't pay any parking tickets. A bunch of parking tickets. That's going to be a reason for them to deny your citizenship application. So you have to be a person of good moral character. Um, or you're not going to be able to apply for citizen or become a citizen. Now, there is a couple of ways to become a citizen. As I said, if you're under 18 years old and one of your parents becomes a U.S. citizen, then you automatically derive citizenship through their naturalization. So you don't have to apply for citizenship yourself. That's one way to become a citizen. So all of these things that I mentioned are actual requirements uh, to become a citizen. The last requirement I want to speak about is you have to pass an English exam, which is usually reading and writing one sentence, and you also have to answer the questions that the officer asks you in English, unless you qualify for an exception to that. And that is how the government assesses whether your English is good enough um, for you to be able to become a citizen. So these are the last two requirements, but these could actually be waived if you meet certain requirements, or if you have any mental disabilities. And I do that a lot. I apply for a lot of clients that cannot speak English because of mental disabilities. Uh, So these could actually be waived. The civics and the English requirements could be waived if you meet certain requirements. But what you'll have to do, there are some forms that you actually have to submit with your application if you're seeking a waiver for the English and the civics exams. Um, you have a couple of more minutes to speak to you guys. Um, we're looking forward to actually hearing from you for the next live session. Uh, drop us comments on these lives for us to be able to help you next week. Throw us a DM, send us a DM on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. If you have any burning questions for immigration, I'll be more than happy to answer them. And again, I want to remind you that the American Dream podcast, American Dream Team podcast, is coming out in a couple of weeks. I would really appreciate it if you start following me and listening to our podcast. I would really appreciate it. Give us a call at 1-888-963 7326 if you have any questions, or you want to schedule a consultation with me or my staff. You can also visit our website at americandreamlawoffice.com, and you will be able to schedule a consultation with me or my staff 24/7, and we'll be able to help you reach your American dream if that's what you would like to do. Thank you so much. It was very good to see all of you this week. Thank you for all the follows on TikTok